Hey everyone, and welcome to the Back 40 Feet, where we talk about suburban, urban, and patio gardening. So today's project is repotting some tomatoes. It's been about 5 weeks since I started my tomatoes from seed, and they're doing phenomenal. And usually I can get them outside and put them in a grow tent by now so that they can start to harden off. And also by putting them outside, even though it's still a little cooler in the grow tent, it slows down their growth just a little bit because it's a little cooler at night, so they can get more acclimated. Another thing that's helpful by having the tomatoes harden off, even if I do need to repot them, is that they are less fragile when I'm handling them. I don't usually put my tomatoes in until about Memorial Day. I really want to make sure that the ground is good and warm before I put them in so that it doesn't set them back. If I put them in too early, they can experience something called a cold shock, and they just will never grow for the whole season. They will just be these little midgets that will be the same size as when you put them in the ground, and it's really disappointing. Well, since my tomatoes have been doing really good, I have some that have just shot up and all the growth has gone into the tops. Here are 8 tomatoes. They're all a little over a foot tall and starting to look a little bit leggy, and that's going to be a bit of a problem. I want their energy to be going into their root production and not on their tops yet, and if I put them in now, they would just get blown over and they're not very strong. If we look at this one in particular, it's about 18 inches tall, and I think it's just starting to be overgrown in its pot. And when I plant it, what I'm going to do is plant it up until the first leaf. So it shouldn't matter whether I'm putting tomatoes in the ground or into new pots. You always want to put it up to the first leaf. Everything below here is then going to sprout into roots. So if you think about it, think just how big and extensive my root system can be on this plant instead of just these little 2 inches here. So by repotting them now, even though I would prefer not to, but weather's kind of not cooperated with me this season, I will put them in pots, some deeper pots. I have some right here. So you'll see that it'll just go right like that. I'll show you when I'm done. And the plant's going to stop growing a little bit on the aerial parts, but the energy is going to go back into the roots, and it will be ready for when I want to put them in. So it's only Mother's Day now, so I still have 20 days to get these plants through until I put them into the main garden. The first step in the repotting effort is I just put in about ½ an inch of dirt into this pot, and then I'm going to put the tomato plant in there. Here's the plant out of the pot, and you can really see that that's quite root bound. So it's going to go right into this pot, and now I'm going to just fill all the edges and around it with dirt. And there we have it. So it's repotted. The bottom leaf had fallen off while I was repotting it, but that bottom leaf was right there. You can see where that scar is. So even though I can't get it all the way to the bottom leaf, that's still going to give me a good 6 inches of root for when I do put it into the ground. So here's an example of repotting that is really going to benefit the plant. So at first look, it looks like that this is broken in half. But when you really come in close, it just grew crooked. It probably must have been trying to reach to the lamps a little different. And I certainly don't want to be putting in a plant at a 90-degree angle in the garden. So when I plant this into its pot, I can make it go upright, and all of this is going to turn into roots so that now I could have a straight growing plant instead of this bent guy. This is the same tomato plant now repotted, so now you can see that it's going to be growing straight. Obviously it's not centered in the middle of the pot because it had that 90-degree angle, so I had to be able to accommodate that. But when I do eventually get this into the main garden, I'll be able to just plant it as a regular tomato plant and not have to worry about the crook in the bottom of it.